Okay, so it's Festningen this week, which is a big concert festival that happens at the Fortress in Trondheim, and Carpe's coming. So I'm doing one Carpe analysis video every day until then to celebrate. So today I thought we'd do ibuprofen. This song documents what we call in literary analysis and post-colonial analysis, the double consciousness. So the double consciousness was a term framed by W.E.B. Du Bois in the 1800s, but it essentially means the act of somebody who is not of the hegemonic majority, not of the majority race in a culture, having to learn both their culture and how to navigate the codes and systems and norms of the dominant culture. When the song first dives into its lyrics, they say, I'm chatter engelsken, de chatter hemma. I'm going to speak the English that they speak at home. Quotes about how his parents talk and speak English with an accent, but there's something really interesting here. They're almost documenting like a triple consciousness, because not only as immigrants from other countries to Norway do they have to know both their home culture and Norway, but Norway is kind of obsessed with English and America. And so to be a sort of legitimized citizen in Norway, you also have to know about America. So by saying, I'm going to speak the English they speak at home, and then he proceeds to discuss accents in English, Indian accents in English, he's both identifying that immigrant experience. If you've been to their show, they put up on the screen a monologue about what it's like to have parents with accents and to be taught to make fun of that as a child. So he's talking about that experience, but he's also saying, like, my parents speak English too. And some might argue that, for example, Indians that immigrate to Norway speak better English than some Norwegians, right? So he's not saying I'm speaking the Norwegian we speak at home, speaking the English we speak at home. And this lays the framework for the rest of what he says in this paragraph, which is, I'm sick of proving that I'm good at these languages. Fuck demonstrating for potatoes, or we might say for pennies in English, that I'm good at writing. I know the difference between these different forms of pronouns, she, her, hers. I don't like taking advice from girls with dogs on their hands. Okay, this one's a little bit deep, because traditionally, sometimes you hear that people in South Asian societies they don't culturally own dogs as much as people from the global north. Sometimes it could be said that they think dogs are kind of a dirty animal. I don't want to speak too much to that norm or stereotype, but what he's doing here is he's flipping that stereotype and saying, like, these people think maybe I'm not very good at this language. Number one, I am. I'm good at more languages than you. But number two, I think that you aren't in a position to talk to me. Like, this thing goes both ways. It's bi-directional. They go on to elaborate this point in detail, saying, like, I can do all the settings, all the codes, all the spaces, this triple consciousness. Pepperkake, which is a traditional Norwegian Christmas cookie, pappadom, which is a traditional Indian flatbread, Dumb and Dumber, Tomb Raider, like those are all American things, right? He's saying, like, I can do all these things. Eat an ibuprofen. Now that's like genius too, because they call it e-books here. They don't call it ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is the American name. That is not the name they use for that medicine in Europe. I know that because I had to learn the new name when I moved here. So he's saying eat an ibuprofen. He's burying that code into the chorus of the song so that you, as a Norwegian, maybe have to go look up what he said to demonstrate that you don't know all the codes. Then he moves on to say, when you look at me, and he's using an Arabic word, shof, for look. When you see me, you see the crown. I know more codes than you, because maybe you just had to go look up what ibuprofen is. The last thing I want to go over is in the very famous hook, Mom, Dad took us out of hoods and trenches. Now we're out, we're sipping smoothie exchanges. This completes this sort of narrative of the codes and the triple consciousness by talking about a really typical and commonly expressed sort of immigrant angst that, you know, perhaps somebody who's an immigrant is very, very thankful to be in their new home. They are of that home. Norway is their culture. But there's this sort of almost can be described maybe as a survivor's guilt here and there of, like, I was taken from this horrible situation and now I kind of live this first world life like there's nothing to worry about, when I know deep down that there is things to worry about. And they elaborate on this more in Sass Plus Sass Pussy, which I'll cover tomorrow.